So much beauty in this call. Jesus Christ. Happy belated birthday, Clee. I love you.
Yeah.
My thoughts are a little scattered right now, so this might be a little like this topic, this topic, this topic. But Sarah was talking about nature shows and the dissonance of like wanting to choose a side and then how that doesn't really make sense. And it made me think of something that I like never intended to share here, but like isn't a secret or anything. It's just um I love Las Vegas. I love going to Las Vegas. And
Mm.
um, it's so interesting because there are so many spiritual people that I used to follow where they have like talked about, and it's like California people. And when they go to Las Vegas, they're like, the energy here is so evil and dark and corrupt. And like, they do not feel the way I feel about it. The way I feel about it is I feel so free when I'm there. I feel
Oh,
so free
wow.
because you can walk a few steps and see someone in a wedding dress and they're taking photos and everything's extravagant. And you can walk a few steps further and there are women at a bachelorette party that are like falling down drunk. And you can walk a few steps past that and see people in business suits. And like you see everything and you don't even have to walk very far. Like you can see the craziest shit within like 10 seconds.
Cool.
Um, but that also creates for me this sense of freedom of like no one gives a shit about what I do here. Like there it just doesn't matter. And if I act crazy, I'm not going to be the craziest person on this block. Like
Nice.
there's this freedom. And I really like it there and I'm a night owl and everything's open late and you get to go see all this shiny stuff and yeah, I just really like it. Um but I'm bringing it up because like about a year ago when I went with my husband, we went on a trip. Um they had just opened up the Sphere, that really, really giant new building in Las Vegas where they can project stuff on top of it. And it's like the biggest screen in the world, like biggest theater in the world or whatever. And we went standing next to this building. It's so large, so much larger than any other building that it actually started creating like confusion in my brain where I just felt like this isn't normal. This feels very bizarre to even be looking at this. Like I just kept having these feelings of like I've never seen anything like this. I'm not sure I'm supposed to see something like this. It was a very weird feeling just being next to it. So then we go in and the movie that they were showing for the first while it was open was called Postcards from Earth. And it was directed by Darren Aronofsky. I'm a huge media nerd. I love movies. I love television. I love stories. And every human loves stories. That's like everything we talk about here. Um,
Yeah.
but the story of this movie, and you have to keep in mind, it's unlike anything else I've ever seen. It makes you feel like the movie screen is your whole visual field. It's just fully, it was unlike anything else. This movie was about climate change and about us killing our planet. And it had some of the most beautiful shots that I've ever seen. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I was so moved by the story that I was seeing. But I also had this like huge feeling of like dissonance of like, is anyone else recognizing that we're watching this story about the planet burning on the largest technology that's available on the planet, and I can be really touched by the story and it can really move me, but also like, is anyone seeing what I'm seeing right now? Because it's making me feel nuts.
Yeah.
um it was so weird. It's still one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, where it was
Makes
just
sense.
like,
It's
it
like,
was beautiful.
hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It was art. I'm not trying to shit on it. Like, it was gorgeous.
I
It was
know. I know.
yeah, it was gorgeous, but it was also like, what are we doing? What are
Yeah,
we
it's
doing right now?
I know.
Um, it really stuck with me all night. And from the hotel room that we were in, you could see the sphere, um, like from the view that we were in. And every time I looked at it, it was just like this feeling of like, that's so not natural. It's cool. Glad I went. No regrets. I don't feel wrong for participating, but it's unnatural. um, yeah, and there's really no point to that story other than just what Sarah said made me think about it. And it was just such a bizarre thing of like, humans can almost get it. We can almost get it?
Almost, but like really not almost at
Yeah, but
all.
really not so much at all.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, yeah, all we can do is like, I mean, it's set up the way it is. So whatever we attempt within that is like, it's not going to solve the problem. Like,
yeah, yeah. And I also have to wonder, like, there was so much authenticity and genuine love for what was being created. I could tell that the director believed in what he was creating. So I have to imagine at some point he had those thoughts to himself too. Like, how do you not? How do you not? How can you genuinely care about that story and then not also go like, "Oh God, this is so weird." Like, this
yeah,
is so weird. Um, yeah, it's baffling.
totally.
So, the last few times that you've shared in intros, it's so funny to watch my brain and body kind of like, I'm a little concerned about what you're going to say.
Mm,
Um, it's almost like I can sense a clearness there, or I'm not sure what to call it, but there's something you're talking about this in a different way. And so specifically today, I realized that there was a feeling inside of me like, oh God, what is she about to say? What illusion is she about to shatter
uh-huh.
for me? Either illusion about like what I think enlightenment is, illusion about what it means to be more awake, illusion of like who I think you are, like just what kind of illusion are you about to shatter for me right now?
Nice.
Um,
I like that.
there's the part of me that doesn't, right? A part of me that's just like, I don't shatter that. But then no, the only reason I can even see any of this is because I want it to be shattered. So like it's not coming from a place of like, oh, tread carefully, but no, it's just like, oh, that's interesting. Um, you were talking today at the beginning about rumination, of after these meetings you'd have rumination and concern of hurting another or how it was taken there or yeah. I don't think you need this, but there's a desire here to share this.
Please do.
Almost
Yeah.
because of the way that you described it, of like it's just what the body does. Well, I want to say this for your body or for mine, I'm not sure, but
Mm.
I've been coming to these meetings for I think like 14 months now. And I really feel like I showed up because I've watched that first video back. I have terrible memory, so like I don't even remember stuff I'll talk about.
Yeah.
But I really feel like to me, what it feels like is like I showed up on your doorstep and made it clear very quickly. Like, I said this to you right away. There's no other path for me. This is it. There's nothing else for me. This is it. I don't have a choice. This is it. And you took that at face value right away. There was no doubt from you, or no, like, well, if you really wanted it, or if you really, like, there was none of that. It was just an immediate, okay, like meeting me where I was, of like, you heard what I was saying. And I don't know if you knew that it was true or anything like that, but there was nothing on your end to belittle that experience, to belittle what that meant to me. And yeah, you're very important to me, and stuff that I've shared with you before, but let's see what I wrote this. I wrote something kind of small on December 22nd that I wrote for me, really. But with what you shared, I wanted to share it. And so I'm
Oh,
just going to read it to you.
oh, please do.
And it's very short, but um, to my teacher, I love you. You have held my hand as I've died. I feel so attached to you lately. I can tell that you don't need me to trust you, and in that, I trust you. I am often sad, raw. People don't like being around it. You seemed to be okay with it, and with me, the way that I am. Everyone needs something from me. Everyone wants me to be a certain way for them, and I didn't ever really get that from you.
Hmm.
I don't know if you ever had that when you were on this path. If you had someone, if your friend was playing that role, or if you had anyone, but there's no one else in my entire life with any experience I've ever had that made me feel like I didn't need to change.
Powerful. Yeah. Yeah. It was my friend, and you're right that I had no one else but him, really.
And, I've had lots of thoughts too of like, are you projecting so much onto her? Are you just projecting what you want? Are you just projecting that? But if that's the case, that means I gave it to myself. And that's really sweet too.
Mm, beautiful.
So, it doesn't really matter. Um,
Yeah. Thank you for saying everything you did, because um that's what I'm here for in a way. I not intentionally, but it felt like I'm not here for those that aren't quite ready. Not that I would know that really precisely, but I'm here for those that truly want just the truth, just like I did. And I don't know what made that happen here. Maybe it was just it wasn't even deep suffering. Yes, there was deep suffering, but even in the subtleness of just existing as a someone like that, it was unbearable to me. So for those that can sense that, I'm here for you, like that felt genuine here. And so I felt that in you.
yeah, I felt that you felt it. There's just resonance.
And I think one other thing that has been changing is like I used to, it wasn't a choice, but it felt like, oh, I don't need that much validation from people. And it kind of felt genuine because it was kind of changing like that. But then there was so much openness to like, oh, it's not really feeding anything anymore per se. It's not that it's needed in that way anymore, but it's really received now. Like what you just said is just really stunning to me. And when I hear these types of things from people, it like actually really touches me. And it actually, you can say means a lot. I don't know, there's some receptivity now or an openness. I'm not sure what it is, but maybe I assumed that there, in this thing of healing that I won't need any validation anymore. Like that's just how it's going to be and that's how it should be. Um, but yeah, maybe that was the case for a while, but now it's like, oh, it touches my heart so deeply.
Yeah. Yeah, and the emotions getting closer. Clea was talking about. It's so crazy. You think that you're on a path of unattachment, and then you feel everything so much stronger, and you just feel so much more human. And like the phrasing that's really related right now here is like the more you orient to life, the more that you see there's nothing but life. And then you also see there's no way to not orient to life. Like you can keep trying all you want, but there's no way to orient or leave it. It's just, but you can keep doing that if that's what, feels natural. Like it just doesn't really matter. Uh, but yeah, it's not getting further away from things. It's getting closer
Oh yeah.
and getting rid of all of the exit routes.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's really beautifully said. When I was saying to someone like I feel like a burden, I don't want to um yeah, I feel not important. Not that those words were absolutely true, but I was just crying and words were being said and the mind there was subtle chatter of like I don't want to be here, I don't want to do this, I don't like this. But before it would have felt like it that would have stopped me from actually expressing and crying, you know? Like it would
Mhm.
have been that loud. Like this is a no, way too threatening. But it was just so beautiful to have everything as a symphony, you know? And um,
This is a silly question, but something I'm curious about. Does your family, like your mom and your dad and your sister and like the people in your life, do they know what you do for a living? Do they know what you're like all about?
um,
Do you tell them I got to go do a one-on-one? I have a Zoom call. Like what do they know?
so my parents think I'm a counselor.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. It's like, all right, it's understandable. My dad tried to watch my YouTube videos and he was like, I don't get it, but I like it. And then he sent everyone, like my relatives from Korea, he wants them to watch like my YouTube and subscribe. And I'm like, oh my God, why? Why did you do that? Like he's trying to support, but it's
That's
like,
so dad behavior.
oh my God. So that's kind of funny. Um, Yeah, my mom, I think I had my one of my YouTube channels on the TV by mistake for some reason, and then she turned on one of my videos and I freaked out. Turn that shit off. Um, so I don't want her to watch my stuff, I guess. I guess it's not a big deal, but I end up talking about her a lot. So I'm like, did I say something that would offend her? And um,
No, that makes sense.
yeah, I'm more cautious now, I think. And now I don't have much stuff to say anyways. Um, but my sister, she knows quite a bit in a way. Like I was surprised back in the day that she actually at least mentally understood some of this stuff at an early age actually. Like she said
Mm,
that in college there was a nun that came to visit something like that and then was talking about this and how you do not want this or something. It's not wantable and
mm,
um it sounds like that nun was speaking the truth about it in a way. Like, you will leave everything or something like that. And so I think she got turned off from it. She was like, okay, no, I do not want that. Um, and so she has a good understanding of it. And I was really shocked. I was like, damn, we never talked about this until now. Um, and so I can say things to her. It's not like she has a lived experience of it. So she will label things like depression, oh, that's depression. And she will say things like that, but I've learned how to take it for what it is now because that's the only context she has. So I still like expressing to her, especially if I'm having a hard time or yeah, I just want to express, but I know now whatever her response is usually sometimes she's very good. She can be a very neutral person in general, but sometimes the feedback is like I know not to take it
yeah,
seriously, you know?
yeah, yeah. I
Um,
know what you mean.
yeah. Yeah. And she's been kind of amazing because I've been telling her some things that are very worrisome, you know? And really, I just wanted to be heard. But from her perspective, I could see why it's like, oh my God, what's happening to you? What's going on?
Yeah, it's nice that she can be there for you during that.
Yeah. Yeah. She's very understanding. She has suffered a lot too. So, and how about you and your family? How's it going?
Um, the stuff that I shared and what I just wrote, they're the stuff I wrote that I just shared. It impacts me so heavily because I can't find it anywhere else. So, with everyone, even people I love very much and that love me very much, I just feel like I have to be a certain way for them. Um, we're all kind of taught that if you don't model yourself the way to be the way people want, you're going to be all alone. Like, we're all taught that. But if you see into this pretty completely, like the thing I'm talking about, like, there's such a loneliness here that is persistent. Like, it's just persistent. Like, I just feel very lonely.
Makes sense. Yep. That's how I felt too.
I feel like everyone needs something from me and that I need to be a certain way. And I
Yeah.
don't really have a big willingness to do it anymore. Uh, so then you're just lonely.
Yep.
The thing I can say for sure is that, for a really long time, I'd never viewed it this way, but after I saw it for what it was, it became really clear that I had a spiritual authority that was constantly grabbing the head and hair of someone suffering and pulling them up and being like, this is what we're doing and this is what it has to look like and this is and that's dead. That's gone now.
Nice.
That's just
Beautiful.
gone. That's
Good.
it was so mean. That's the clear part for me. It's just I always felt like I was being dragged through life and by life, but then seeing that it was like, oh God, I've just been dragging myself. Like I've just been forcing myself to strive all the time.
Well, it becomes you. It becomes lived in you because that's all you're shown by everyone and everything. So, like, how can it not get ingrained in you? And you start doing it to yourself in a way. So, it's inevitable. And then what resonates is that, oh, okay, yeah, drag me along. Tell me what to do. Tell me you're right. I'm wrong. You know, I don't. Um, that becomes ingrained. So that feels right to us, actually. It's very hard to really see what's going on. Actually, kind of impossible until you kind of go through whatever this is. But that's why I would say things like, oh, it's abusive. And I knew that people didn't understand. And I knew that they would think that I'm fucking crazy for saying that a beautiful, kind, spiritual teacher is abusive. um from that perspective, it's like, yeah, I also thought they were a savior, like they're the healer, they're the answer, they're helping me. But now I could just so easily say like, yeah, it's really harmful. And the word abusive just came out unintentionally and I was like, oh shit, that's a harsh word. But
But that's
yeah,
why I see that image so clearly of the energy that was going on inside of myself because now even the softest suggestion, the sweetest suggestion from my mind about how I need to be is seen to be that energy of pulling myself by the head and being like, this is what we're doing, and you have to be this way. It doesn't matter how sweet that message comes out. You're
exactly.
still calling me wrong, and I have no control, and that's wrong.
Exactly. That's how I see it too. Not exactly in that way, but that sort of sense is exactly how I see it. When I hear someone say, just be patient, I'm like, that is so harmful.
Yeah.
Or, I want to be unconditionally loving. It's like, you're going to fucking twist yourself up inside.
Yeah, and when you like can really finally see like I can't like that voice that just does that constantly and just needs to strive and needs you to be different. Um when you see that, it's like the compassion that you wanted is just kind of already there because it's just like trying to get yourself to be anything isn't the compassion. It's the seeing that you can't get yourself to be anything that you're not that then causes huge compassion, just like the most insane compassion. Um, it feels endless. It just feels endless. And it's not something you can talk yourself into or want to become, because it's the opposite of that. It's the opposite of wanting to become something. It's the seeing that I can't be anything other than what I am. And so much compassion comes from that, because it's just like, oh God.
So profound. Yeah, it's more, it more has a flavor of like, of course, of course. How can you be any different? How can this be any different?
Thank you for not trying to change me. It means so much to me. I just don't know how to. I'll never be able to articulate it.
It's very clear to me. It's very known to me. Yeah. And another thing that has been changing is like, um, I think in my last video, I said that there's not knowing what love is. Because all of the sort of knowing of all of that stuff, you know, like compassion or love, or it was all my idea of that stuff. So it depletes, you know, and then I don't know anything. I'm just like, I have no clue. Um, but what has naturally arisen from that is so much love for you and people in this group. Like, uh, yeah, it's just, I think about you guys. It's like you're with me all the time. Like that's how much, um, yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
how to describe it. It's just, it's like
There
infinite.
there's a reason I've so frequently used the phrasing like held my hand as I've died. Because to me, like through really intense suffering periods, it energetically felt like you were there holding my hand. And there were again those thoughts of like, you are projecting like crazy, you're creating this. And if that's what it is, that's really sweet to give myself. So it doesn't really matter. Again, it
So
doesn't matter.
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And you know, when I was taking distance from my friend as well, I imagined him holding me. It was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I could feel it. I was holding your hand. Yeah. I'm always with you.
think that's all I've got right now.
Yeah. Oh, so amazingly beautiful as always. You're so precious. I
You
appreciate you
too.
so much. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for everything you said, really. It does actually mean a lot to me. Just touches my itty bitty heart. It's nice to see everyone. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I'll have issues with copyright stuff, but I kind of wanted to play a song. You guys are welcome to leave, but let me see how to share.